What other tips do you have for hiring salespeople? Because I think it's not only one of the hardest things to hire people and find good people for, but I know a lot of people listening have probably struggled with it before. And it can be frustrating to invest a lot of time in a salesperson, have it not work out. What tips do you have?
So the first thing that I would do is make sure that they had some experience on, if you're talking about somebody who's on the phone, you can typically hire somebody who is a year or younger in the business, as long as they're coachable and teachable. So I would take them through some line of questioning on if they have interest in what you're selling. Right? I wouldn't hire somebody that didn't like, let's say, for instance, if I'm hiring somebody for the real estate world, I'm not going to hire someone that hates real estate but just loves cars. They've got no interest. They've got no desire to talk about it. They're not going to, that same energy won't come across on the phone if you're trying to hire for high ticket, real estate courses. On that end, if you're looking to hire somebody who is really good at, like, say, search engine optimization or social media, but they're not online or they don't really care to be, but they think that they're a good closer, they're not going to have the same energy and desire to move forward. So having a really good interview process, probably 2 or 3 interviews, and then I'd make them send over kind of I design a questionnaire of their hobbies, their likes, their dislikes. I know it kind of sounds funny to ask salespeople that in a corporate world, or even hiring a one-off salesperson that you're going to outsource your leads to. But it's so important to find out who these people are and to find out where their hobbies lie. And if they're not connecting, ask them why. So why do you want to get into this business? You'll find out why they're attracted to you. And if it's just because they want to make a 20, 30% commission on selling because they think they're good, they'll struggle. And so I think that's probably the best thing to do is take them through an interview process yourself. Like, find out who they are, what they've done, what their skill set is, and ultimately, are they coachable, and how well will they learn and apply the process if they like what you're doing. It's key.
I like it. What about just continuing that motivation over time? You find a good salesperson, your business is growing, you're adjusting, you're hiring more people. How do you keep people around and reduce turnover?
So the cool thing is with salespeople is a lot of times, if you get really good salespeople who are professional, they want to continue, don't ever mess with the commission. Set the commission and the tone up front. Here's what the commission scale is. Set it in tone and don't mess with it. You can always go up in payment. You can't go down. And a lot of times I see where that loyalty of a salesperson breaks down is when the company adjusts because they maybe changed where they're gathering the leads. And so they've had to spend more, but then they have to find and cut costs somewhere else. They cut costs typically in the sales commission a lot of times. That will cause animosity on the sale. And then your closer or your sales team has to work a little bit more harder, or they start that process of, if I'm going to make X, I've got to close 2 or 3 more sales a week, but how much time do I have to do it? And so then they start to make mistakes or overpromise, or they rush the sales process and miss points that you want covered. So that would be the number one thing, is I wouldn't mess with the commission scale. That's probably the biggest one. Number 2, stay consistently communicating with your sales team. Don't over manage, because a lot of salespeople, they get in a groove, they get their commitments down of what they're going to do. Don't over manage the salesperson to where they feel suffocated. Give them some leeway to work things out. The third thing I would do is I'd have a touch point every single week, whether that's Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays. Touch base with the sales team, see how they're doing, make sure that they are actively dialing. So there are ways to do that without feeling like you're this micromanager, or where they feel like there's this thing hovering over them, this person who's going to, get them if they don't perform. And then help them set their own realistic goals for instance, like how many dials that they should be getting done in a day, to how many contacts should be done, to how many appointments should be set. Let them set the first goal and then help them go about 10, 20% above that for the week. Okay. And then start to build on that every single week. That they can't go below that. They have to continue to go above. So that's a stretch goal. But letting them set the goal, they're going to feel more connected to it than if I was to say, okay, look, no matter what, you have to do 100 dials a day. You have to have so many appointments. Again, for really good professional salespeople, they know the amount of money that they want to make, and they have that goal in line. So they'll kind of know what they have to do. So if you can communicate back and forth, it's a relationship. And I think those are some of the things that break down in most sales systems where salespeople leave, is they either feel overmanaged, that they're not valued because someone's forcing them to do goals, or their commission has been changed. That's probably the three things that will kick a salesperson out. So retaining that person is consistency. So the first thing is you have to understand your marketing, right? And so if somebody doesn't understand their messaging and they try to get closers on the phone, it's going to be a broken message. We see it all the time where the message on the back end doesn't meet the marketing. And it's always been kind of that, sales versus marketing sometimes. And if the two don't talk to each other, if you don't